What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down 3 types of catches that we feel every wide receiver should be able to make. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you'd like to get some work in with us this offseason, we are traveling out to 15 more states for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So next up, we're going to be coming out to San Francisco, Orlando, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Texas, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are interested, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our 2-day-long, 8 hours of training off-season camps. Let's get started. So first catch we're going to be talking about here is the one-handed catch. So this is one of those kind of like highly criticized catches, but the one-handed catch is something you absolutely 100% should practice on because of this exact situation right here with Gabriel Davis. So how this is going to work is I'm going to show myself making this catch or working on this catch, and then a pro NFL example that we're going to break down. So obviously, anytime that we're working a one-handed catch or anytime that we are practicing a one-handed catch, we are getting ready for that situation in a game where you got a DB who's on your hip, maybe he's grabbing your arm, he's getting away with some holding, or maybe there are situations where you absolutely can reach further with only one hand. Sometimes guys are always like, oh, you got to get two on the hand, but sometimes that ball might be out of reach and you have to reach with one hand because physically you can reach farther with one hand. So one-handed catches are something that I expect wide receivers to not necessarily make every time, but something that you should absolutely 100% of the time work on. So when it comes to one-handed catches, it's the same thing as catching a regular pass. You have to make sure that we're looking it in. You see how I catch this ball right here, and I'm taking that picture, if you will, with my eyes. Pretend your eyes are a camera and you're trying to take a photo of the ball. The only thing in your line of vision should be that football. Now, you see when I catch this, I'm very much so in my fingers. I'm not letting this ball bounce off of my palm, just like any regular catch, but to be consistent with one-handed catches, you have to make sure that your grip strength is strong. Do a lot of fingertip push-ups, a lot of farmer's carry. Things of that nature will help you with these one-handed catches and get you prepared for it. So I'm going to play this again one more time, and now we're going to look at this pro example of Gabriel Davis. So this is the exact situation I was talking about, right, fellas? Your arm is pinned. He's grabbing on your arm. I don't necessarily think this was holding, but we end up with the ball simply because he was comfortable catching one-handed. You see, we're running downfield. Sometimes things get tangled. Sometimes DBs are trying to hold us, and we can only throw one hand out there. That is a catch that, a college coach would expect you to make. That is a catch that's going to help you stand out at a camp, a combine, on film, everything. So make sure we are practicing those one-handed catches, fellas. Now let's get to this next catch that I feel wide receivers should all make. So next one I want to discuss is a deep over-the-shoulder pass. So we have to be consistent as a wide receiver when I catch it over the shoulder. Same thing, we're going to break down this catch from me here, talking about the mechanics, and then show an NFL example of Davante Adams. So when that ball is thrown over the shoulder, it is super important that we do not show my hands super early. So what a lot of wide receivers will do is they've been taught, go to the ball, right? And that's not necessarily wrong. If the ball's underthrown, you want to go up and high point it. You want to go catch it at its highest point. But when that ball is over the shoulder and you got a DB trailing your back hip, you want to be as late as possible with your hands. You do not want to show your hands too early because that gives a DB a chance to make a play on this. Now, I probably could have waited a little bit longer. Me showing my hands right here gives the DB some time to make a play. I probably should have waited until the ball was about chest level to show my hands to make this catch. I might have been just a little bit too early. And in this example from Davante Adams, you're really going to see what I mean by having late hands. But same mechanics apply. We get a lot of questions too about over the shoulder throws, low throws, bad passes, back shoulder passes, which is what we'll get to later. But when that ball hits your hands, it is the same exact thing. We have to take a photo of the ball. The only thing in your line of vision is the football. We're not worried about the football and staying in bounds. We are catching first, then worried about getting my feet in bounds. So make sure, fellas, over the shoulder catches, your eyes are following this thing to your hands, and we are late with those hands. Let's play this thing again full speed, then we get to a pro example of this last Monday night with Davante Adams. So now this is just like that tempo change, like deep skinny post that he ran. He's got 2 defenders on his hip, and he catches this thing over the shoulder. That is probably as late as you can get with your hands. You got a DB here. He's looking back for the ball, but he still doesn't know where the ball is. That's part of the reason why you want to be late with your hands, because the DB doesn't know. And when that DB starts looking back, he might miss the ball and then that's an easier catch for me, or he might lose me because he's got hands on me, and if he starts looking back, I can easily create a little bit more separation and make this play. This DB has no idea that that ball was coming until the last second because Adams didn't show his hands early. That is textbook right there. Now, when you guys are being late with those hands, you have to make sure your eyes are tracking it. Your eyes are so dang important when you're being late because people will criticize this. They'll say if you drop it when you have late hands, they'll go, oh, you got to show your hands earlier, go meet the ball halfway. And I'm not saying that's wrong advice because they're just trying to help you out. But if that next step on these over-the-shoulder catches is being late, trusting your eyes, do not give these DBs any time to make a play. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Adams being late. Obviously a great ball put in that perfect spot, but we finish it by not showing my hands early. Okay, so now, same thing. I'm going to be showing this example of myself and then a professional example, but this is a back shoulder throw. So back shoulder throw, that is where the quarterback is putting that ball. And quarterbacks are taught to aim for the back of your head or your right shoulder in this specific case. Quarterback is over here to my left, okay? So now I'm going to play this thing full speed. So when that ball is thrown back shoulder, it is super important that you are somewhat late with your hands as well. Because usually when it's a back shoulder pass, quarterbacks will put it there when you have a DB who's right on your hip. So when he throws that ball back shoulder, if you show your hands super early and don't wait to the last second to show your hands, that DB might have time to react. If you're like slowing down and starting to turn early, he's going to turn early or he's going to slow down. So it's got to be like at the drop of a dime. That quarterback throws that back shoulder, we are ready to shoot those hands last second and catch this ball. Now, in this situation, obviously, we have a DB who's right on my hip. So when I'm catching that ball, it is super important that you are almost catching and turning your back to the DB to protect the ball. We want to put my body between the defender who's right here and the ball, because now when he has to make a play or he's going to try to swat the ball out, he has to go all the way around my back to make that play. And when I turn my back, I want to bring that ball violently to the tuck. We do not want to waste any time. We do not want to hold that ball out away from myself because all that does is give a DB a chance to put a hand in there and knock that thing out. So we have to be violent to the tuck and put that ball away quickly. I'm going to put this placing again full speed, so make sure we are as late as possible with my hands, fellas. We're putting the ball away and put that body between the defender and the ball. So this is an example of Stephon Diggs pretty much being thrown perfectly here by Josh Allen on a back shoulder pass. So let's play it full speed. So he comes off the ball is thrown back shoulder. Again, very late, and watch how he turns with it and puts the ball away. Obviously, he's out of bounds, so we don't give Ramsey necessarily a chance to make a play if he didn't fall down. But you see how it's at the last possible second. He almost uses like a throw-by technique too, and that maybe could get called for PI just simply because the ball is in the air. So I would try to avoid that the best we can. But the late turn is what I'm trying to emphasize here, fellas. It's not like he's slowing down and starting to turn early. He is turning late, so he could put that ball away violently, and his body is between the defender and the ball. That is the main key when you are catching a back shoulder pass. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Diggs, pushing outside, pushing vertical, and then adjusting to that back shoulder pass.